And pressure, lightweight, speed and agility. Two incredibly high-level guys, experienced competition backgrounds. I'm really excited for this match.
Yeah, I bet Matteo is gonna sit down and try to leg lock. I've been rolling with him several times and he's really a leg lock master.
Do love a good leg lock.
Here we go.
Okay, so Matteo pulls half guard. Orion here has control of the upper body and the head, and this makes it very difficult to get underneath to play that type of leg lock game. You can see the man on top using his head to create a barrier for the man on bottom to get underneath, keeping his hips and his head very, very low. Very often you can tell the level of two people rolling by the amount of space that there is on the mat. If there's a lot of space, it tends to be lower level guys. If there's not much space at all, it tends to be higher level guys, because you cannot afford to leave space against higher level grapplers.
Because as we said previously, Jiu-Jitsu is a game of time and space. The more time and space you are able to take away from your opponent, the more chances of imposing your game you have.
A little bit of philosophy from Dr. Roberto Scrinia there. Okay, fantastic head pressure. And there's a grip fight going on here. Interesting, interesting. Okay, what was great about that was that Orion turned an angle to make sure that he couldn't be leg locked when he pulled out of that. He made sure to pull his knee away from his opponent to make sure that he couldn't enter in on the legs. And now that he's re-engaged, you can see he's doing a good job of trying to keep his opponent pinned to the mat whilst going to work. I mean, he's playing with fire by having his arms away from his body in the leg entanglements here, but again, makes for an incredibly entertaining match. This is an interesting one, isn't it? I'd say that Orion is essentially controlling the match better, but it's Matteo who's already looked for a triangle and
an omoplata.
And an omoplata. You'd expect both of these guys to be comfortable with the cage, with their backgrounds.
Nice leg drag from Orion.
Interestingly, this is the first time we've actually seen guys use the cage, which I'm surprised we haven't seen more of so far.
Yeah, maybe because of Orion's background in MMA, he may now want to use the fence in his favor to limit Matteo's mobility in that direction.
And in one of my amateur fights, I got smushed up against the fence, and it really surprised me just how little I could actually move in that moment. It was something that had to be dealt with first before any meaningful offense could be dealt. So being smushed up against the fence might not seem like it's that big a deal, but it really does limit your mobility.
Yeah.
Plus, it just sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when the fence it's a metal, and your head gets there, and you get pressure on your head. You're like on a between a hammer and how's the thing that
an anvil.
Okay.
Yeah. Matteo's going to be coming out with a different haircut at the end of this after being smushed up against the fence like this. A checkerboard.
They're still in the half guard.
Yeah, that knee shield for the man on bottom is really causing problems for the man on top. You can see that he wants to use this C-guard, he wants to use this position with that knee against the hip to be able to create an opportunity to throw up those triangles. What's actually happening here is that knee at the top by the hip creates enough space for him to get his bottom leg out and throw up these triangles and omoplatas that we saw before. But Orion is well aware of that now after the first attack pattern and is doing everything in his power to keep the pressure on and make sure that that space doesn't open up. And a great way of doing that is general pressure, winning the grip fights, and keeping his opponent against the fence.
Yeah, especially the grip on his left hand, which is gonna grab Matteo's head and keep him without letting him recover a posture underneath him.
So again, he's using his arms to try and isolate an arm here. If I was in the corner of Orion, I'd say let's put a stamp on this round and throw some submission attempts as well. for it.
Almost.
Not quite. Not quite.
That position could be also good for trying a knee bar, because Orion actually had both of his leg against one leg of Matteo.
That's a real.
As the point.
There's no doubt that Orion had to defend that, right?
Yeah.
He did have to defend that, and this is the criteria that we're working with here. It's not who looks better, it's not who's under pressure, it is who throws the submission attempts, and you've got to play the rules here. And the question is, if he hasn't been for any submission attempts so far, does he even know he's down?
Yeah, exactly.
Straight
The
down
awareness that action could lead him to defeat. Same position as before, one knee of Orion entangled in. Oh, and he was almost able to clear it, putting pressure on Matteo's head.
He's passed and he's straight into a crucifix. This is an insanely dominant position, He's got so much time to work this position as well. He's got so much time to work. Look at that. Look at that from Matteo. Manages to get his guard back from a really devastatingly bad position. Fantastic work, and he's locked the legs up himself. It could be a back attack here. Oh, and he's attacked the legs. And here's the second submission attempt. God, that's tight. Oh, and he's escaped his foot. Great work, Orion. But that's got to go down as another submission attempt, surely. I mean, he had his heel wrapped up. Oh, there's a calf slicer here if he knows it. Orion's in on a submission attempt of his own. These guys are trading leg locks. Oh. Okay, so once again, Matteo throwing a submission attempt that Orion has to defend. The knowledge of the leg locks here is very, very strong. You can see him holding on to the leg to make sure that it stays deep. I can't quite see if he's got the heel. These dangerous positions, man.
Yeah, and it's really, when someone locks the legs like Matteo did, it's really difficult to get out from that position.
I would like to see Matteo maybe attack the second leg. If he can control the second leg, then there wouldn't be all of these scrambles. But I think he thinks that he's deep enough on the heel to be able... Oh, that's tight. Orion's doing the right thing, but... I mean, how do you even score these as submission attempts? There's about 30 attempts on the heel there, it's all the same thing.
Yeah. I would score them as one.
Score them as one, but... I mean, you think Orion has to do an absolute mountain of work here to even remote... Oh, that looks tight. Oh, that looks tight. He just can't quite get the leg position. Is the cage going to work for or against Orion here?
I think now against, because he can't shift his butt on the left and maybe try to roll.
So Orion is ballerina toeing, so that means that he's pointing his toes to make sure that his heel is smaller. Now, what I would like to see is Matteo try and do something other than what's called 50-50, where they're in this sort of mutual leg entanglement, and try and bring that left leg over the front of Orion, and that way he can keep Orion from bringing his chest close. Can we see Orion is really trying to keep his chest closed? Just how much is this taken away from Matteo? For guys who are watching who are not intimately familiar with what's happening here, these attacks attack the cruciate ligaments of the knee, and the cruciate ligaments are one of those things that take a long time to recover because they don't have a fantastic blood supply. So
exactly.
when these attacks are being put on, even if they're not being finished and the guy's not tapping, he could be taking microscopic damage, microscopic tears, and just in general, this is one of the worst positions. And now he's switched to and attacking the second leg, like I mentioned before, which should give him a chance to attack the first one. Orion clearly knows what he's doing here, but you can't get much more defensive than this.
Yeah, because
incredible work. Now, unless Orion can really pull something out of the bag, I have to think Matteo has put himself light years ahead on this particular criteria, but it looks like it's drained him.
Yeah, it looks like he's breathing heavily, so maybe it costed him a lot to try to attack with that amount of pressure.
I think Matteo will look back at this match afterwards, be happy with his performance, but think, okay, maybe I'd prioritize control a fraction more before going for those finishes, and maybe I could have been a little bit more clinical. But maybe that takes away from Orion as well. Orion's doing a fantastic job of making his heel difficult to attack and keeping his legs safe. Tell you, for a nerd like me, this is absolutely incredible to watch.
It was a really good job on that leg by Matteo. You think what was missing was a better control on the leg?
I think you can remove the number of scrambles. You know, at the moment they're locked up, and that sees the end of the match. Fantastic job. Fantastic job. Fantastic job. We said at the beginning of this match that there would be scrambles and that there would be a speedy pace on this match, and we were in for an absolute treat. Tell you what, let's scrap the rest of the card and just have these guys fight 10 more times, shall we? Okay, so we're just getting our announcer in to read the decision, and then I think there'll be an interview with the winner as well.
Yeah. Who you think is gonna win?
Oh, I think it has to be Matteo by this rule set. Yep, absolutely. Brilliant job from both guys. That was an incredible performance. Orion in and out of the fire, non